I don't get too excited about Keir Starmer because I'm sensible enough to realise that Keir Starmer is just basically reaping the benefits of what the previous government set up, which were the Tory party. It's the Tories who put the migrants in hotels. It's the Tory party that decided to spend £9 million a day and counting on migrants in hotels. It's the Tory party that thought it was a good idea to have £500,000 worth of empty hotel bedrooms every single day in case there's an influx of more migrants. Nobody thought to say, hang on a minute, we're at capacity, no more can come. And the thing that gets me with all this, if you question it, you get called racist. So how come nobody says anything to France? Because their migrants are sitting in tents. Why doesn't anybody kick off? Why aren't they saying anything to the French about how they're treating their migrants? Why is it focused on us when we're bending over backwards in the most horrendous way? Because if you do have genuine refugees and chances all mixed in, then the chances will outweigh the genuine and eat into facilities. That's obvious. So it's not a good plan, is it? And Starmer won't do it because it's a socialist plan. So he'll just be happy that someone else has laid all the groundwork for him. But you mustn't get depressed about things. You mustn't get down about it, because at the end of the day, we are making progress all the time. We push back all the time. What I think tends to happen with people, and why I'm doing this video today, is to not get you down about it. When I was in business, we're still in business, but it's more of a portfolio. I don't have to actually go out to work. But when I did, if I was buying stock for my business, I wouldn't just keep going out buying stock, would I? I'd have to look back in my warehouse to see what I already had, to work out what I needed. That's what you need to do with the news. Instead of allowing it to just flood into you every day after day, more bad news, don't do that. Have a look back at the previous news you've had and then work out from that how much of that has changed that didn't transpire or you realise now you were fooled about. So it's out in the open. Like with the BBC, died within 28 days of a test. You know that you probably missed it at the time, but now you know about it. Roll forward to the booster update, to the track and trace that nobody took it on board. You look at all the pushbacks. You look at how everything's calmed down again because there's been the pushback. So don't just keep drawing that new news in and stacking it up with all the other bad news. You'll overface yourself because some of the bad news has gone away. We've dispersed with it. Electric vehicle sales are down. What does that tell you? The public just didn't buy them. It wasn't a campaign. It wasn't anybody being awkward or having some massive movement. They just didn't bloody want them. And with the free speech, Starmer is the best advertisement for conservatism, because he's showing socialism up for what it is, and it doesn't work. So when you've got people like Elon Musk, who's got a world platform, and President Trump realise that Britain is losing its free speech and that people like Jeremy Clarkson can get arrested for breach of the peace, which it was nothing of the sort. I mean, the last thing I would think you would call Jeremy Clarkson is angry and outrageous. He's a bit tongue-in-cheek, he's a bit dour to deal with. But it all helps. That highlights the situation for the farmers because Jeremy Clarkson's such a big name. It highlights it across the world stage because Jeremy Clarkson's famous from Top Gear and everybody wants to know what the Top Gear presenter's doing, getting arrested. It's in foreign papers. So all this stuff gets highlighted and that's publicity. Now, in an ideal world, we should have an honest media, but we don't. But what we've got to do, we've got to realise that when the media is feeding this information into you, you don't have to take it on board. And you are already part of the fight. You're listening to this. You're not outside. You're not trailing around TK Maxx. You're listening to this. You're part of the fight. You're interested. That's the main thing. You're interested. A lot more people will be very interested come to the next election, especially the younger end, which is good because reform seem to have captured the younger end because they want jobs, they want to drive cars, they want to have a life, they want to go on holiday, and they can see with what they've got, these things are being taken away from them. So when the news comes in, don't stack it all up with the other news. Look back at what has happened and what we fought back with. Put it on the thread. So there's no point in getting overexcited about Keir Starmer. So another 5 years of this. Well, actually, it's 4.5 now. We're already through the first 6 months. And a lot of the plans that they've got, building this and building that, it takes months to get planning through. It takes months to build things. The weather's... It's not going to happen like you think. They can't do it. As it's a, government is a slow machine, like it or not. And all that's happened is we now have a seriously bad leader. Nick Candy, who's now backing the Reform Party, said he thought Keir Starmer was a decent bloke, but he doesn't think that anymore because he obviously isn't. He's not capable of running the country. So you mustn't sit here thinking you're doomed. You're not doomed at all. You're no more doomed than what you were under the Tories. You just thought you were in a better place because you can see everything, warts and all, with Starmer. So we are moving forward all the time. The best thing is him. Every time he opens his mouth, every time he says something, you've only got to look on his thread on Twitter. There's zero support. His ratio of likes to how many people see his stuff is abysmal. I'd be embarrassed if I was him. So I'm using the migrants as an example, of course, with bad decision making done by the Tories. And nobody's questioning France, where they have an abundance of migrants in tents, despite clearing the jungle out all those years ago. So we're moving forward all the time. We're moving forward better. I'd sooner know what my demons are, and it's him, than sit here thinking that I was being looked after by the Tories. Basically what I'm saying is you need to draw a line under the news, because you know that what you're getting from the TV is duff, it's fake, it's not the truth, it's narrative. And we're pushing back. GB News does a reasonable job. We do a better one on social media because obviously we haven't got Ofcom. And on the world stage, people know Britain is in decline. My former neighbour in Austria said, "Julie, what goes on in Great Britain?" I said, "Oh, you don't want to know, Gunda. It's a mess. It's schrecklich," which is German for terrible. "I know. You have the man Starmer. He's not so good." "No." I said, "No, he's not so good, actually." Yeah, we also have the politicians here. They're shysters. So my little next door neighbour's noticed. She's living at the back of beyond up in the Alps, do you know what I mean? And yet she knows we've got a duff leader. And from our point of view, what you've got to remember is we can't get any worse because we thought we were getting looked after by the Tories. We thought it was all going to be, we're going to get Brexit, we're going to be sovereign, we're going to be this, that and the other, and we're not. My next video, I really want to address, it's not going to be a long one, I want to address what you see is not what you get with Kemi Badenoch, whatever she's called, and a number of other people.